अस्सलामुअलैकुम पाकिस्तान। अस्सलामुअलैकुम पाकिस्तान।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम पाकिस्तान। मैं हूं आपका होस्ट, आपका रिप्रेजेंटेटिव आरजे आदिल। इस वक्त हम लाइव हैं और जो FM100 का एक इनिशिएटिव है वो हम लेकर चल रहे हैं रहबर। और ये जो प्रोग्राम है आपके लिए रहबर के थ्रू पेश किया जा रहा है। रहबर एक इनिशिएटिव है FM100 का, जिसमें हम आपको फ्लड इफेक्ट्स की अपडेट देते हैं। फ्लड इफेक्टेड एरियाज़ का हम आपको बताते हैं कि वहाँ पे क्या पेशरफ्त है, किस तरह से NGOs एंड INGOs जो हैं वो वहाँ पे पार्टिसिपेट करें, और जो ऑन ग्राउंड लोग हैं उनसे रियल टाइम अपडेट हम आपके साथ शेयर करते हैं थ्रू FM100 प्लेटफॉर्म्स। तो ये सिलसिला जो है हमारा शुरू से जारी है और उम्मीद करते हैं कि ये सिलसिला हमारा जारी भी रहेगा साथ साथ, और आपको हम अपडेट करते रहेंगे। अगेन ये प्रोग्राम रहबर एक इनिशिएटिव है FM100 का, जिसके थ्रू आपको पेश किया जा रहा है। और जो इस तरह की FM100 के कुछ इनिशिएटिव्स हैं जो उन्होंने लिए हैं DW के कोलैबोरेशन के साथ। FM100 ने एक बहुत अच्छा इनिशिएटिव लिया है, जिसमें वो रेडियो सेट्स और एक सेट जो है वो इन एरियाज़ में पहुंचा रहा है। काफ़ी सूबों में, काफ़ी शहरों में हम पहुंचा चुके हैं, और अभी अगले जो हमारे स्टेप्स हैं वो KP के और बलूचिस्तान में कुछ एरियाज़ हैं जहां पे हम ये जो हैं अपने इनिशिएटिव्स शुरू करेंगे। और DW और FM100 की जो कोलैबोरेशन है उसके थ्रू जो हम रेडियो सेट्स जो हैं वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट भी करेंगे, ताकि वहाँ के लोग आगाह भी रह सकें और साथ साथ उनको कोई थोड़ा बहुत इंटरटेनमेंट का ज़रिया भी मिले। सिमिलरली जो रहबर इनिशिएटिव है FM100 की जानिब से, इसी सिलसिले को जारी रखते हुए आज हमारे साथ स्टूडियोज़ में, जिनको हमने लाइव मदऊ किया है, हमारे साथ है मिस्टर सर्जियो, कंट्री रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ मेडिसिंस सैंस फ्रंटियर्स पाकिस्तान। मिस्टर सर्जियो, कैन यू हियर मी?
Loud and clear.
Great. Welcome to FM100 on air, and you are live right now. The reason you being a country representative of a very big INGO in Pakistan, we would certainly like to ask few questions to get the updates on what's happening in the flood affected areas. As you do know the ground reality, you guys are working there on, you have on field staff, and for that matter I'd certainly like to know what is the current on ground situation of post flooding and the areas which are affected the most.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much FM100 for inviting us. The situation is still very acute and very problematic. We have to acknowledge that this emergency, these floods have been qualified by the UN General Secretary as a climate carnage. And in terms of number of people affected, we talk about more than 33 million people. So the needs remain very high. Although the situation is improving in some provinces in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and also in part of Balochistan, in Sindh, the situation remains very severe, very acute. Still, numbers of villages are not being able to reach with vehicles, and just can be reached just by boat again. And still the level of water is still very high in several areas in Sindh. So today we focus our activities in the eastern part of Balochistan, but especially in Sindh, both in the north and center, both in Dadu district, in Sakar and Sangar district in Sindh is where we are focusing several of our activities.
Okay, great. So you said that some areas are still pretty much affected, and they still need a high level of rescue work there. So I'd certainly like to add that when did MSF start the response to the flood emergency, and currently what and where MSF is providing flood relief activities? I mean, the most focused areas.
Yeah, so now MSF started the emergency response activities end of August, and the main areas of intervention are in Balochistan, in the area and the district of Jafarabad, Sobaptur, Nasirabad and Quetta, while in Sindh, as I probably mentioned, in Dadu, Sakar and Sangar district. We also conducted activities in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in the area of Charzada and Nowshera. So these are the main geographic areas where we deployed our emergency teams, carry out several activities from mobile clinics, water and sanitation activities like distributing clean and drinkable water, rehabilitating or building from scratch latrines, water points, and showers, donating what we call non-food item kits like hygiene kits, kitchen kits to help the displaced people to reestablish a minimum of hygiene condition, a minimum of capacity to cook and to provide to their food, but also we donated tent, mosquito nets to try to mitigate the impact of these natural catastrophes.
Okay, so if we talk about health needs, which health problems or issues that you are seeing in flood hit areas, or what are the dangers that you anticipate? I believe, I mean, to name a few, we have dengue, we have been hit by COVID. So are there any health needs that you think we need to, the nation or the world needs to know to any, dangers which we foresee?
Sure. Unfortunately, for any emergency that is related to water, floods, heavy rain, the first priority is to provide clean and drinkable water to all the affected communities, and also to prevent waterborne disease that could be listed as acute watery diarrhea, but also malaria, dengue, as you mentioned. So everything related to water is first priority. Secondly, we are closely monitoring the nutritional situation. We know that food security is a very dangerous issue for the vulnerable communities affected by the flood, but also malaria and other waterborne diseases remain of high concern so far.
Okay, so Sergio, as we see that winter is approaching, and in many areas winter is like on full-fledged, so I do understand that there must be a high need of warmer clothes, providing shelter, and now it's not the time that anyone can obviously sleep outside at night in many areas. So as the winters are approaching, what do you think, what would be the humanitarian needs in flood affected areas, keeping winters in mind? And to add to it, obviously, what would you say to people of Pakistan to support the affected population?
Starting from the last point, we have to say that there has been a massive response from different Pakistani organization and also Pakistan Red Crescent that deployed the volunteers in all the affected areas. And thanks to the tremendous work that Pakistani organization made, that the consequence of these floods have been contained and limited. So far, winter, as you mentioned, is coming, bringing additional critical component to already vulnerable communities. Priorities are providing people that were not able to move to safe and proper housing, provide them with winterized tents, so tents that are being produced to mitigate the cold temperature, blankets, but to reduce also the exposure to any of the other threats that we mentioned before, acute watery diarrhea, malaria, that will be lethal to vulnerable groups of people like children and elderly.
Great, Sergio. Thank you. We much appreciate that you come in on air with us and giving us real-time update on flood-affected areas. We certainly do appreciate.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks. Bye. Alright जी listeners, ये थे हमारे साथ INGOs और NGOs जो पाकिस्तान में एक्टिव हैं. FM100 अगेन आपको अपडेट दे रहा है डेली बेसिस पे रहबर इनिशिएटिव FM100 का, जिसमें हम आपको रियल टाइम अपडेट देते हैं फ्लड अफेक्टेड एरियाज़ के हवाले से, और जो ऑन ग्राउंड लोग हैं जो काम कर रहे हैं, जिसमें NGOs एंड INGOs जो हैं वो भी काम कर रही हैं, और क्या स्टेटस है, क्या लोगों की सिचुएशन है, वो हम आपको अपडेट रखते हैं. साथ साथ ये है कि FM100 का DW के साथ कोलैबोरेशन में जो रेडियो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की एक कैंपेन है जो हमने चलाई है काफ़ी सूबों में, काफ़ी शहरों में, और ये कैंपेन भी चलती रहेगी मज़ीद। अभी हमारा अगला जो अगेन एम है वो KP के और बलूचिस्तान के फैक्ट्री एरियाज़ में ये किट्स पहुंचाना, विच इज़ अगेन विद कोलैबोरेशन ऑफ FM100 एंड DW। साथ साथ ये है कि हम आपको मज़ीद भी अपडेट करते रहेंगे। अपना बहुत सारा ख्याल रखिए। आदिल फ्रॉम FM100, स्टे ट्यून्ड, अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।